All right, hello, Van Gogh and Riley here. We've done 5.5 miles already today. I didn't start the day as usual, like when we first start with a little video, because apparently I exhausted my GoPro battery last night. And when I turned on my camera this morning, it didn't turn on, and I didn't want to take my pack off and dig into my electronics bag and get a new battery, so I just started the day by hiking. And now we're at this this cool building here. This is a High Point State Park headquarters. Very nice building. They have bathrooms inside. They have that green thing is a water spigot. Nice picnic table here that's in the shade. The trail continues over that way, and they have a hiker box inside, and they have a little free library where they have lots of books. And I got they didn't have much stuff in the hiker box, but somebody had left this bag of salt and pepper packets, which can definitely be useful. It's always nice to add a little salt to some things, or have the ability to add salt. And it comes with a nice bag. I'm always happy to get fresh bags, because they tend to go bad after being used for a while. And since my Kindle went bad, I looked through the little free library that they have, and I found this book, The Bourne Supremacy. I've seen the movie here already. I've seen a few of these movies, and they're kind of cool, but I've never read any of the books, and this seems like a pretty lightweight book. So I decided to pick it up, and I'm gonna keep it in just to start with. I'm gonna keep it in the same bag here, so it'll stay dry. It's been a hot day today so far, and Riley started off by not really wanting to hike very much and just kind of take lots of breaks. But then Mr. State Line caught up to us. He was at the previous shelter last night, like 6 miles before us, but he ended up catching up to us because he got off to an earlier start, and also Riley was making us take lots of breaks. But once he caught up to us, that motivated Riley to get going. And Scorp also caught up to us, and he has hiked on now. So I've gotten a good break here. Got my new battery in, and we have 8.8 miles to go to get to the town of Unionville, or at least the road that goes into Unionville. So we are gonna continue on pretty soon. Do you mind if I include you in my little video I'm taking? All right. So Riley and I have continued on from High Point State Park headquarters. And why is it called High Point State Park? Because
that's the highest point.
There you go. There's a monument on top of the highest point in New Jersey, and the AT is gonna go near there, but not right up to it. There's apparently like a 0.3 mile side trail that you can take off the AT to get up there if you want to. But the AT does go by this little kind of lookout place, and Mr. State Line here and I decided to, why not? It's literally just like a very easy 2 flights of stairs, so it's not a big commitment.
Want to get you there?
Oh, sure, yeah.
All right, so here's Van Gogh and Riley.
Riley!
Top of the tower here. I don't know if I'm getting you both like this.
It's okay. Right. There you go. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
Riley, good job, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. And that's the sun. It is beating down on us. Hello, Riley. Riley. Riley's tired. Okay, so Van Gogh and Riley here. We've had a we had an unexpected, crazy day. And just updating on what's happened. So, first of all, Riley and I are both fine right now. Riley had to go to see a vet today. So after we left the High Point State Park, State Line. Actually, the last time I took a video was when State Line and I were on top of that platform area, looking out at the monument for the highest point in New Jersey. And after we got down, State Line got in front of us, and he was hiking a bit faster than us. So he got ahead of us, and we then encountered like a duo of hikers, like day hikers, that we stopped and chatted with for a little bit, and State Line got further ahead of us and we couldn't see him anymore. But Scorp caught up to us. He had apparently taken the side trail to go up to see the actual the peak for the highest point in New Jersey. And so then Scorp and I and Riley were hiking together. Riley and I were in front, which is usually the case with Scorp. He's fine with staying behind. And we hiked for a little bit. We passed the next shelter, which was called High Point Shelter. And we hiked on for a bit. And then Scorp decided that he was ready for a break. And I was expecting that Riley would kind of stop there, because he doesn't like to go on if the other person that he's hiking with has stopped. But he was, I guess he didn't realize that Scorp had stopped, so he was continuing on for a bit, and the trail led us downhill. And then Riley saw something in the bushes after we got downhill a little bit. We were probably 100 yards or so in front of Scorp at this point. And Riley was really interested in what was in the bushes. And he was kind of just pulling me further in. And I didn't know what he was looking at. I couldn't see anything in there. But the bushes that he was looking at were kind of dense, so it makes sense that I couldn't see what was in there. And then it sounded like Riley was in a tussle. Like he had maybe bitten an animal or something. Anyway, so what happened was that there was a porcupine in the bushes, which I never saw. But Riley, I think he tried to bite the porcupine. And we're really, really lucky at this point. Riley is fine. But yeah, so Riley came out with a bunch of quills in his nose, like in his nose area and in his lower chin area, all in the front of his, like the front part of his face. And he even had some inside of his mouth. And he was, when he came out, his back was turned to me, and I didn't notice initially what had happened. And then I quickly got in front of him to see what was going on, and I saw all the quills in his face. He didn't have any in his eyes, fortunately. And so I immediately tried to help him by pulling quills out wherever I could. But he had a ton of quills in him. Like maybe 100 or so. Just a lot of quills. And I was able to get all the quills inside of his mouth out. And I was able to get a lot of the other quills out too. And at that point, and Riley was kind of, he was actually letting me take the quills out for the most part, especially the ones in his mouth. He was letting me take out. And then by that point, Scorp had finished his break and he hiked on a bit and he actually saw what was going on. And so he stopped to try to help us. And at that point, Riley, it wasn't necessarily because Scorp was there, but for some reason he just decided he didn't want us touching any of the quills anymore. And so whenever we would try to reach for a quill to grab it, he would move his face and just wouldn't let us touch the quills because presumably it caused a lot of pain when we were touching the quills because they were stuck inside of his skin. And Scorp had a set of tweezers on him that he tried to use to grab some of them, but it wasn't very helpful because Riley was just moving his face around whenever to try to prevent us from touching anything on his nose. And so at that point, we kind of considered our options, and Scorp was thinking, well, maybe if we can get a pair of pliers that we could more easily grab hold of the quills. And he mentioned that there are some houses nearby, so maybe we could get some help. And so I looked at my guidebook and I saw that there were several roads. Like, this is the guidebook here. And we had passed High Point Shelter prior to that. And I just looked at the guidebook and I saw this road right here, Greenville Road, County 519, Courtright Road. So I saw that there were some roads coming up. And I also knew that we were heading towards Unionville. So I decided, well, let's see if we can hike for a bit and get to one of these roads where we might be able to get some help, or at least maybe we'll see another hiker who can help us. And so we got to the next road, actually very quickly. We're actually really lucky that we were only a few tenths of a mile away from the next road, which was County Road 519, Greenville Road. And before we got there, I saw a house, actually, from the trail. Like the house, the back of the house was visible from the trail. And so when I got down to the road, I was only maybe 100 feet or so away from this house. And it turned out that there were two houses, actually. There were two houses like right next to each other. So when I got to the road, I said bye to Scorp, and I thanked him for his help, and he hiked on, and I went to the first house, knocked on the door. They weren't home. But when I was entering the premises or the property of the first house, I noticed that a vehicle had driven in to the driveway of the house right next to it. And the owner, or the guy who was driving the vehicle, he could actually see me from his driveway. And when I saw him, I was like, anyway, I asked him if we could come over and I could explain the situation. He seemed receptive, so I walked over with Riley and I just showed him what happened. And his name was Mike, and he immediately was very concerned and was like, he was happy to do anything he could to help us out. So he got a pair of tweezers, he got a pair of pliers, and his wife is home. His wife is named Donna, and the man's name was named Mike. And they initially tried to hold Riley for me while they let me try to use the pliers to take some of the quills out, but Riley was still moving his head around. And they quickly concluded that it was a futile effort to try to do it ourselves, and that we needed to get Riley to a vet for some professional attention, and that he would probably need to be sedated by the veterinarian, and then that would allow them to get the quills out. So his wife Donna got on the phone and tried to contact many vets in the area, and many of them, by the time Riley and I had gotten to this house and Donna had started calling veterinarians, it was about 5:30 p.m., so just about closing time for most vets' offices. And most of the vets' offices that she contacted were like, we're closing now, we can't help. But it turns out that there was this one place called Newton Animal Hospital, I believe, or Newton Veterinary Hospital, that is a 24-hour, they're open 24 hours. And I guess they have a regular group of customers that, or clients, that they can take, they can serve their pets for their health needs, but they're open 24 hours. So we decided that was the best option. And Mike was happy to drive Riley and I to this location. And it probably took at least 20 minutes to get there. It was probably, so it was maybe like 20 miles away or so. And anyway, so we got to this location, and they were a professional pet care place, and they took our information in, and they had a pretty large team of professionals working there, and they were able to fix Riley up. So they were able to give him some anesthesia to sedate him, and then they were able to remove the quills from everywhere on his face. And they checked in his mouth because they told him that he had some in his mouth that I was able to remove. And then he got out of the anesthesia, and then they brought him out to me. And by the time they brought him out to me, it was about 7:30 p.m. So they did it rather quickly. And at this point, I mean, it was just awesome that Mike and Donna were so happy to help us. It could have been worse. Like Mike had said that we were lucky that Riley didn't get any poked in his eye or anything. And he wasn't even bleeding very heavily. He had some blood when we were removing quills, but he wasn't bleeding heavily. And so number one, like I said, we were lucky that he didn't get any quills in his eyes. And number two, I was lucky that when it happened, I was so close to a road and so close to a couple homes where people could help me. And then I was lucky that Mike and Donna were home and that they were so happy to help us. And that Mike just offered to drive us to the vet place, and that he just waited with us so that he could give us a ride back. And right now we're still at Mike and Donna's place. Initially I was thinking that we would get back on trail because we don't have any other place to go. But Mike offered us, he said, why don't you just spend the night? So we're in their shed right now, on their property. I fed Riley dinner earlier tonight. Also, after we left the vet's office, there was a Walmart nearby, and Mike drove me there, and I was able to pick up some more dog food for Riley. So I got two 4-pound bags, so a total of 8 pounds of additional dog food to help us get through the next section. And also, the vet's office gave me a couple jars of pills that I need to give Riley to help with his recovery to reduce inflammation and I assume the risk of infection. So I need to give him a pill twice daily, basically, from both sets of pills. Yeah, and then we got back so Mike drove us back, and his wife Donna made us burgers and French fries, and I gave Riley lots of dog food, and I was super relieved at this point that Riley was better, and Mike and Donna were happy that they could help us. They were very happy. And so Mike offered to let us stay on the property for the night, which I think was a good idea. It's just allowing Riley to rest up some more. He seems fine. He seems like he's definitely tired, but he's got his normal personality. He seems fine. I think we'll be okay to hike tomorrow, but I'll see how he's doing. I mean, he's able to walk around. He's happy to see people. When we were at the vet's office earlier, before they had done anything to him, when he still had the quills in his nose and in the lower part of his mouth area, when he was seeing people, he was still wagging his tail, like he was just happy to see people, and he was happy to see people. So he was even with all the pain that he was in, with the quills still inside of him, he was still acting super friendly to see people. And so, yeah, I just had no idea that the porcupine was behind whatever shrubs Riley was peering into. And he was on leash, so he wasn't far away from me. I thought when I was letting him go into the shrubs that I was just letting him explore, and I just didn't think that there was anything dangerous in there. So I was shocked when he came out and he had quills all in his mouth. This is the first time that we've ever had a direct encounter with a porcupine. So I'm definitely not gonna let him just venture off into the brush if I can't see what's in the brush from now on. It's an obvious lesson to learn. I mean, I want to let him explore, but I'm not going to just assume that there isn't a porcupine lurking somewhere if I can't see directly what's in there. So I'm gonna do a better job of preventing him from going places where I don't have easy ability to see what's behind any foliage or shrubs. So, quite a day, and it's ending okay. Riley is in much better shape than he was in before, and just super thankful that Mike and Donna, first of all, that Scorp tried to help us. He did everything he could, and then super thankful for Mike and Donna that they just did what they thought was right. They did what they could. He had access to a car, and so he was at home, and he wasn't going terribly out of his way to drive us, but he didn't have to do any of that. But he saw Riley was in need and he wanted to help. And so we got him the help that he needed, and he's doing, like I said, he's doing much better now. And so we are at County Road 519. We just need to walk a little bit down the road to get back on the trail. And prior to this incident, well, when we got here, we had hiked 8.5 miles today. And then that was the end of our day. I think we'll be ready to go in the morning. But I'll see how Riley's doing. I mean, just like today, he needed help, so we got him help. But I think he's gonna be fine. Like he seems fine. But I'll be extra, I guess, on alert tomorrow to monitor how he's doing. And I'm definitely gonna make sure to stay away from porcupines and prevent him from accidentally encountering them in the future. So that is the update for today, day number 95, Monday, August 5th. It was and like I think I said before, it was a pretty hot day today. I'm sure it cooled off in the evening time, but we didn't get a chance to hike in the evening. And it's getting late, so we're gonna get some sleep, try to get a good night's rest, and we'll check in tomorrow. So we'll say good night, and as always, I hope if any of you are watching, which you wouldn't be seeing me if you weren't watching, hope things are going well for you. And we will check in tomorrow, and see how tomorrow goes. All right, bye for now.